I live in a home with two girls, which means sometimes I get dragged to movies that I would just assume not see. Well, a few years ago, they insisted that we go see Beauty and the Beast, and so I reluctantly went along. And as the movie was starting, I began to nod off, but there was one scene that I was captivated by. So in it, Belle, who's kind of the main character, her father was captured by the Beast, and he was in this cage-like entrapment in the Beast's castle. And the only way for him to be rescued was Belle had to go and, in essence, take his place in that cage. In other words, she had to be condemned for him to go free. Well, the father, he didn't want anything to do with this, but Belle pushes him out of the way and goes into the cage and takes his place. So in other words, she becomes a prisoner in order that he can go free. Well, this scene reminded me of the gospel, right? Jesus took our place to enable us to go free. Well, at Christmas, we celebrate the incarnation, Jesus putting on flesh, coming to earth in order to take our place. Our anchor text is John 1:14. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Now, let's not breeze by something. We can think of many examples throughout history where peasants have sacrificed for king-type figures, right? That's their job, that's their role. But the incarnation reveals to us that the king left his palace for the peasants. He left his throne for a cradle in the dirt. He exchanged a crown of majesty for a crown of thorns. He left the adoration of angels for the ridicule of people. So here's what you and I must talk about. What does our response look like to such a profound gesture of love? Now, Romans 5 says, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Now, perhaps when we think of imitating the incarnation and coming near to others, we over-glamorize it as being something that we have this irresistible feeling that makes us feel super warm inside, and then we act by coming near. But to imitate the incarnation is to come near absent of warm butterflies inside. Think about it. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. While we had nothing to offer, and while we were quite unattractive, Christ came near in order to make us attractive. So much of imitating the incarnation is to come near in spite of our feelings. Now, let's be honest, this isn't easy. Human nature is to be drawn to those who can meet a need that we have, who make us feel a certain way, who give us a perceived measure of status in some way. Now, our reluctance may come in thinking that if we forego all of those things, that we will be missing out on life. But nothing could be further from the truth. We are talking about Jesus 2,000 years later, not because he hung around people who elevated his status, but because he emptied himself on account of others. He and then his followers turned the world upside down through emptying themselves for others, not by elevating themselves for something that others could give them. So this Christmas season, how will you and I imitate the incarnation? By emptying ourselves on account of others.